Salute is a program for and about men and women who have served our country. Our program includes news about the laws that affect veterans, information on benefits and services, and news from veterans organizations. And now, our host, Bob Peters.
Hello and welcome to Salute. I'm your host, Bob Peters, and with me today I have the pleasure of having Mr. Jerry Corbett on the show. He's wearing a Coast Guard hat, but you were dual service, and we'll get into that later. But I want to welcome you to the show, sir.
Thank you, Bob.
It's nice to have you. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Originally, you're from Maine, you said?
Yes. Presque Isle, Maine, which, for those that haven't heard of it, if you see Caribou on the weather map, it's 12 miles south of Caribou. And we moved up there in the early 40s during World War II. And,
you are another member of the Veterans of Underage Military Service.
That's me.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
You went in at 16, you said, right?
Well, it was in the winter, and there really weren't much for kids at that age. You know, the fathers needed the job. So I developed this brilliant plan. If I could just get my birth certificate and I could erase the 7 and very carefully type a 6 on there, I put a little talcum powder on it so it kind of blended in, and away I went to the recruiter. And of course, my parents had to sign the paperwork. Well, I did kind of lie a little bit more because they said, well, they're both working, but you give it to me and I will get it signed and bring it back. So he finally agreed and let me do that. So 10th of March, I was on the troop train heading for Sampson Air Force Base, Geneva,
Wait a
New York.
minute. Did your parents sign it?
No.
What did you just say? By the way, I'm leaving tomorrow for the Air Force, Ma?
No, I said to them, I said, look, Mom, I'm going to go in the Air Force. And she said, well, you can't, you're not old enough. I said, I talked to the recruiter. He said that I'm close enough that by the time I get out of basic, I'd be 17 and I'd be all right. She swallowed it. She never said nothing. So, and that was how I pulled that off. So I get to basic. I did learn that March is not the time to go in the service if you're going to go to boot camp in the north, because Lake Geneva, New York, you get that big lake and the snow blowing across that while you're on the drill field.
Oh, that's where you had basic?
Yeah, Sampson. It's an old Navy base is what it was, Sampson Air Force.
I went to Lackland.
Yeah, well, I wish I'd have gone to Lackland, but I didn't. So anyway, about the second week or third week, he fell us out on the drill field. And he said, all right, guys, he said, I know there's a few of you guys in here illegally. You lied. And he says, just step out. We'll get you home. Nothing will be done. No penalties, no punishment. And I thought, if he knows I'm in here, he's going to have to come in and get me because I ain't coming out. So anyway, after a couple of minutes, he says, okay. He said, I had to say that. I said, I didn't think you was. Nobody was. But I knew I wasn't stepping out of the ranks. So anyway. So we finished up our basic, and then I went to radio school from there down in Biloxi, Mississippi. So from the cold to the heat. And I did 6 months of radio school for airborne radio operator. And then back to Greenville, South Carolina, Donaldson Air Force Base, where I stayed for 6 years flying on the C-124s, which we went all over the world. And a lot of times we did mercy missions. I think it was 55 or 56. They had that polio epidemic down there in South America. I think it was Lima, Peru, but I can't swear to it. We flew up to Boston and loaded that C-124 with how many ever iron lungs we could get in it. Not only me, but a lot of our other aircraft.
Your crew, yeah.
Yeah, and we flew those down there. But
let me. You're talking about flying. You were a load master. What was your
No,
position?
I was the radio operator.
You were the radio operator. Okay.
See, because we had to learn Morse code in radio school because Morse code would go through sometimes when voice communications wouldn't. So that was what we used. So that took quite a while to learn that, really. And but yeah, I was the radio operator. You know, if we could get by on voice, fine. If we couldn't, we'd go to CW, they called it, and communicate that way. So, but that was my job, and Geez, you know, I think back, I've been all over the world. Let's like, you know, people say, well, I'm going to go to Italy, I'm going to go to Germany, I'm going to go here, go there. I've been to all those places. I've been on both poles. We worked out of McMurdo Sound on Antarctica. We didn't land on the, we dropped the stuff from the aircraft to the scientists. And one day we stole one of the scientists from McMurdo a penguin, and we put the cool cigarette in his mouth and we parachuted him out to the scientists, and they were laughing their butts off. They're saying, that is pretty...
You know, all the animal rights people are going to be calling you now, right?
Well, it was dead, because, see, they were dead penguins, and they were studying them to see different things. Yeah, they were stacked up like cordwood. We just slipped over there and got one, and rigged it up and dropped it off. It was pretty cool, you know, along with a big D8 Caterpillar, if you know how big that is. It would probably fit in this room. Yeah, it would. So anyway.
Well, first, let's go back to your first assignment. It was
Donaldson Air Force Base.
Yeah, you had to fly these iron lungs over there because of the polio?
Well, we left Donaldson and went up to Boston. Matter of fact, you remember the old movie tone news reels?
Yes.
We was on that. And I think it was 55, but I can't swear to it, 55, 56. But we were always gone somewhere doing something. And so then we came back from that, and then I got my little sweetheart. We got married, and marriage is no good if you're on a flight crew, because you're never home.
Yeah, it did put a strain on it.
Yeah. So
actually, not just a flight crew. Anybody that's
if you're in the military, you're going to be at sea, or you're going to be flying.
Or even infantry. You know, you're gone for. I mean, that's extremely difficult.
It's a tough life for your mate. It really is.
Yeah.
Yeah. We got married in November. In February, I get shipped to Germany for 6 months. So. And then from Germany, we flew all over. Matter of fact, we were flying helicopters and guns and everything into Beirut back in 56, 55, 56.
Really?
It's never stopped. In Baghdad, the same way. It was still hot there. We didn't get off the aircraft and go downtown. We stayed on the aircraft. And so did the stewardess on the civilian aircraft. They stayed there. So we shared the booze and the food, what we had. We stayed there. It wasn't bad, let me say that. It was good. So, but anyway, getting back to Donaldson, this is funny. I got to tell you this. This one lieutenant, every time he wanted something done, he'd come get me. And one day I said, hey, Lieutenant, you know there's 50 other guys in this squadron? He said, yeah, I know. But he said, you are the laziest SOB I know. And he said, you'll figure out the quickest way to get this done. So I know if I give it to you, it's going to get done, and I need it done in a hurry. And I just looked at him and grinned. I said, I can't argue with that. But that worked out, because come promotion times, I'd get them promotions. So anyway, then, like I said, from there I went to San Antonio. I went to Headquarters Security Service. We flew a one-star general. We worked directly with NSA in Washington. And wherever he wanted to go, of course, we had a plushed-up aircraft. We had a C-97, which is a big tanker. But we had it all converted plush, you know, kitchen, bedrooms, you know, the whole 9 yards.
Oh, yeah.
See? And he liked to have foam patches to his wife. So we told him, well, we need some better radio equipment. He said, look, just go buy what you want. So me and the other operators, only 2 of us down there, we went downtown and bought the finest amateur radio gear you could buy at the time, about $1,500 worth, and installed it up there. So when the old man wanted a foam patch, both of us were ham operators. So we cranked down on the ham bands and get a foam patch for the old man. Well, he loved that. See? So anything we needed in radios was no problem. And so wherever he wanted to go, we'd take him. Japan, Germany, it didn't matter. We didn't care, you know. We had the, you know, the scarf and the special, you know, the whole 9 yards. So
I've seen people like that. I didn't have that when I was in.
Oh, yeah, we had it made.
Speaking of, why don't you show that picture there?
The
Your
first one?
of you.
Oh,
Speaking of being a ham operator.
Yeah. Well, this was what we called the 50 mission crush. And this was taken while I was going through radio school, I'm pretty sure. So that would have been taken in 54. Yeah.
Looks like Ricky Nelson. You sure name Ricky Nelson?
Yeah, I do. So, so we spent, I think, a year and a half in San Antonio. Then I got transferred. I was still in security service, but I got transferred to Turkey, a little site, Karamazov. And we had two aircraft, but you only used one. It was, it's a Convair, T-29 Convair. It was pressurized, 2 engines. So, if the old man from there wanted to go up to Italy or Germany, wherever we wanted to go, we'd fly him up there, or wherever else he wanted to go, as far as that went. But that was a good job. That was good duty. And, but it wasn't good to, I mean, I didn't mind it that bad, but I couldn't wait to get out of there. So that was when JFK got shot. And shortly after that, they took our aircraft. They said, no, we're going to make some changes here because of security, this, that, and the other. So anyway, shortly after that, I rotated back to the States. And that's when I started flying on the Connies.
To show that.
And these were the EC H-121s and aircraft early warning. And what we do is we fly racetrack patterns all along the East Coast. They had stations, 2, 4, 6, and 8. And you'd go out and fly 18-hour racetrack pattern, whichever station you went to. That was your job.
You flew 18 hours? Wow.
Oh, yeah, it was a long day.
Yeah.
Yeah, a long day. But then they, for some unknown reason, they started crashing. And we were all concerned about it. But the problem was it wasn't getting the maintenance. The aircraft weren't getting the maintenance. The colonel there wanted to make that star, so he wanted as much airtime as he could get. So he was pushing them to get all that flying time.
Yeah, right.
So that's when I think it was the second or third one. And I was coming up from my discharge at that time. That was around July or August. And I was getting out in October, had to re-enlist. And I got to thinking, I'm not liking this. This isn't too cool. So anyway, make a long story short, I'm heading into work that morning. I took a quarter and I flipped it. I said, heads I re-enlist and tails I don't. Come down tails. So when I went in, I told my sergeant, I said, I'm not re-enlisting, so I'm going to call personnel and tell them, don't be typing up my re-enlistment papers.
Now, at this point, what rank were you in? How many years had you had in?
At that point, almost 13 years, active. I could have retired at 36 had I stayed, because I'd have had my 20 by then.
So you went out with 13?
Yeah.
And what rank?
E5.
E5, tech sergeant?
See, because at that time, they were replacing radio operators with the newer equipment. Except there, they still needed it, but they was also replacing the aircraft with newer equipment. I think it was the KC-135s that we replaced them with. So I just made a decision. I said, well, this is what I'm going to do. So I had wanted to start a TV shop. So I get out. Well, let me tell you this. I go up to the orderly room that day to get my discharge. And I walk in, and this young kid, he doesn't have it typed up. He's got the re-enlistment things typed up. And I looked at him, and I said, Sonny, I'm going to turn around. When I turn back around, my discharge better be in that typewriter. So this little second Louis come walking over. Hey, Sarge, what's the problem? And I said, at noon, I'm supposed to be discharged. I don't see no discharge. He said, well, we figured you was going to re-enlist. I said, you figured wrong, I'm not. And this second Louis, you ask him how long he'd been in, he'd look at his watch. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So anyway.
90-day wonder.
Yeah. And it was funny because there was a first lieutenant get out with me, Keith, I can't remember his last name. So I said, Keith, I don't know where you're going, but I'm heading straight to the NCO club as soon as I get that discharge, and I'm going to spend the day there. I may even have to call a cab or get home, but that's where I'm going to be. So he said, well, I'm going with you. So anyway, we get drunk and hoot around anyway. So I did get out and started my TV shop, bought an old building, renovated it, and started the TV shop. And about 6 weeks later, I went up to Maine with my brother-in-law. We went hunting. And about the second or third day I was in the woods, I heard on the radio another Connie crashes off the Cape. I said, oh, shoot, let me see. I said, we got to go in. I got to go to a payphone. I got to see who it is. That was my crew.
Wow.
See, so I said, God looks after you.
You know, I had a similar, when I was in the service, I've told this a couple of times on the show, I was supposed to fly home from Utapau, and they were going to make a stop in Guam and Okinawa, and then back to the States via Japan and Alaska, what have you, you know.
Yeah.
And I showed up in my duffel bag ready to go, and they said, you just got bumped off the plane. Because somebody has a medical emergency, he's going home. Come back tomorrow. So I came back the next day, got back to my base, found out the guys that I went over with that went back, well, their plane crashed and burned in Wake Island, and we lost 11 guys, and it was like, you know, just wasn't my time, I guess.
Nope, that's what I'm saying.
So yeah, we never know.
Yeah.
That other plane you had there, that was when you were in the Air Force too, or was that when?
That was just a picture of it in flight. This is it on the ground, and the other one was in flight.
No, we taped this one here.
Yeah. This was, I flew on for a little over 6 years. I had over
that looked
5.
awful big, you know, as far as.
Well, on the front of these clamshells, they opened.
Yeah.
They open like this, and these big ramps come down. And you'd winch stuff up. If it was a big fire truck or something, you'd winch it up onto there. Now, there's a story in that. We were loading one up in Turkey. And, you know, you got that big cable strung out the front of this with one of these great big tugs pulling it on. And these two Turks in a Jeep come down through there. They didn't see the cable.
Oh, boy.
Oh, brother, they hit that thing. Cut them guys in two, but it snatched that fire truck. It almost went out the back.
Wow.
Oh, man. So after that, we posted some guards out there.
Yeah.
But they didn't see it. Yeah,
flight line can be a very dangerous place.
Yeah. But, yeah, I love this aircraft. It was a good aircraft. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, I come back, like I said, and I'd get out, and I don't know, I guess I'd been out 2 or 3 years, and one day this Coast Guard recruiter come in to get his TV fixed, and we and him got to BSing, and he said, hey, Jerry, don't waste all that time, come on in the Coast Guard Reserve. He said, get your other 7 years and retire. And I said, well, you think we can do that? Don't worry about it. He said, I'll get you in. So long story short, I went back in. Smartest thing I ever did. And I actually went back on active duty for 6 months, but got the green card. And we were surveying the buoy tenders, certifying that they knew what they were doing.
Oh, I just had a buoy tender. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Al was a buoy tender.
He might have been, yeah.
Yeah, he was. He was telling me about it the other day.
Well, you remember when Blackthorn collided with that ship down there in the Skyway and sunk? They came too close in the channel, and the anchor hook dug into the Blackthorn and pulled it down. I don't think there was only a couple of people survived that. We had certified that down, I believe, in Mobile. But that was a great job. We were stationed down in Groton at Research and Development. That was choice duty. I could have stayed another 6 months, but the old warrant that was in personnel, he said, no. If I let you stay another 6 months, you've got a year. And he says, you can say, I'm going to re-enlist and stay in. And he said, then I'll be losing my job. That didn't work. I would have. I knew it, yeah. But anyway, I just enjoyed drilling on the weekends. And in my 2 weeks, I'd go to Yorktown, Virginia. But the chief of the station, he loved me. He'd call me up and ask me to do extra drills to train his guys. So, I mean, I could have drilled every weekend as far as he was concerned. Just come on, you know. So,
drilling? What do you mean drilling? Drilling for what?
You work 2 days, the weekends, you know,
like
8 hour
marching
days.
drilling, or what kind of drilling?
No. You take, you go down and take the small boats out,
Yeah.
like the 41, and you take some of his guys that's regular Coast Guard and train them, you know, like helo operations,
Okay.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
See? So that gets them some training that he can't do or doesn't want to do, or they don't have the people, whatever. So I was always busy, you know, going down there and working. So, and I loved it. I mean, that 41 was a beautiful boat to run. I mean, it had twin diesels. You could spin that thing on a dime.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, it got me like for helo operations, because you know, if you got to do the real deal, you need to know what's going on. And like when that Stokes litter comes down, you got a big grounding rod. You got to ground that. You reach up and grab that, it'll knock your socks off because there's so much electricity generated from the
static.
Yeah. So there's things that you learn, you know, and they learn. So if you had to go out on a SAR case, you're not out there not knowing what these guys don't know or do know, you know. So
you know what to expect.
yeah, that's the
Not
main
going
thing.
out there blind.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So how many years you did in the Coast Guard?
Almost 8.
Almost 8?
Yeah.
And you had?
I had 21 something when I took my, what they call 20-year letter.
Yeah.
And I retired in 82. Excuse me. Yeah, February of 82. So it's going to be what? 31 years this month?
82, 92, 2000, 2012. Yeah, 31 years.
Yep, 31 years this month. It was the 8th of February.
Wow.
I'm getting old.
It happens, babe. Hey, when you got out, what'd you do then? Did you do another career field, or?
You know, I was doing carpenter work. I like construction, so it kept the fat off you. And this friend of mine one day said, "Hey, I'm going to go up to the prison and interview and apply for a correctional officer." And I thought, you know what, I'm going to tag along with him. This is hot out here in the summer working. So anyway, I went with him and applied for a correctional officer, and I got the job and went through all the correctional officer training and stuff. And I did that for 2.5 years. But that really wasn't my bailiwick, you know what I'm saying? I wanted to do something else. Well,
Yeah.
this friend of mine, he was the education programs manager. And I probably shouldn't say it, but I'll say it anyway. He was a brother Mason. And he said, "Jerry, there's going to be a slot come open down there in vocational cabinet making. Can you get me 6 years of experience?" And I said, "Sure." So he said, "Well, you'll have the job. Don't worry about it. Just get me the letters, and when Charlie leaves, you can have it." So that took me out of uniform, put me in the education department, 8 to 5, weekends, holidays off. And of course, then they changed all the rules. We had to go back to college and get our regular state teacher's license. So you see how important that GED was?
Yeah, we were talking a little bit about that before, because a lot of you guys who were underage, you know, went in before high school. My father-in-law was one of those too. He went right into World War II.
Yeah.
And so you wound up getting your GED, right?
Yeah, I did. I went down to the education department on base at Donaldson, and I sat down and took all the, I think there's 5 or 6 batteries, and I passed them all except the, I think it was English, and that was always my worst subject. So I took the night class for 2 or 3 months. I'd go down there a couple of nights a week, and then I passed it, and I got my GED from them, sent the results up to the state of Maine, and they give me a high school GED.
Equivalence, yeah.
Yeah. So then when, you know, like this job, if I hadn't had it, I couldn't have, you know. And I think the Coast Guard, you have to have it too to get in.
I think a lot of them now you do. I mean, I'm sure the Air Force isn't something now. And nowadays, a lot of, if you really want a good job, you got to get some college.
Yeah, you
know.
do. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's a very good lesson for the young people to learn. You got to stay in
betcha.
school and get your education, because without that paperwork, you're not going.
You're not
anywhere.
going no place. Well, and then, like I said, we had to go to college and take certain courses for our vocational teacher license. And we had to go up to Gainesville and sit for the same exam the college kids were sitting in. And half them kids weren't passing it. And I passed all of them except one. And it was my own stupidity because I wasn't interpreting them right. So I went back up a month later and passed it. So I had my teacher's license.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then of course we had to get so much training in the next few years. So when I retired the 1st of May from them, my teacher's license ran till the 30th of June of that same year. So I was golden, you know, as far as everything working out for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the other thing I did too, Bob, I had 16 years with them, and I could buy 4 years military to give me 20.
Yeah, you know, a lot of places where I worked, they didn't do that.
Yeah.
You know, we tried to put that in there, but it didn't work. But some places will credit your military.
Yeah.
They will credit if you say you got drafted.
Yeah.
You know, and then you came out after your active military, you were guaranteed your job back then.
Yeah.
Nowadays, I'm not sure how that works. And
Well, the only thing that I was kind of irked about, I could have bought it when I first went to work there for like $500.
mm-hmm.
But I said, well, I may not be here 15, 20 years, so I'm not going to buy it. But what the state didn't tell you is,
it goes up.
No, but yeah, it goes up because they got to pay you 6% interest on it. Plus, if you quit, they got to give you that money back plus interest. So when I bought it, it cost me $5,000.
Wow.
But I did some real quick math. I said, the difference in pay, I'll get that back in 3 years. So I bought it. I mean, it'd been stupid not to.
Yeah.
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 So,
We're just about out of time.
okay.
You got any one fond memory of the Air Force that, a funny story that you would like to talk about, or somebody that you met?
My last flight on the EC-121, I told the pilot, I said, listen, I'll be here, but it'll be in body because I'm going to be smart. He said, Jerry, as long as I got a body, I don't care. So I walk up, and I'm standing between him and the co-pilot when we're taking off. So after we get airborne, he comes walking back, and he said, I almost got drunk from some fumes that somebody was blowing off. I said,
Too much celebrating.
that was my last flight. I said, if we crash, let's crash on land. I don't want to swim. So
Yeah.
anyway.
Well, my friend, we have to say
It's been great.
it's been a day.
great,
And it's,
yeah.
It's been great. And I
Yeah.
will see you around. I know you're
Oh, yeah.
not. To all our veterans out there and active military and their families, we salute you for all you do. Thank you. Till next time. We are now entering our 3rd year salute here at Lakefront TV. We've had many great guests and veterans organizations share their stories with us. We'd like to hear from you too. If you're a veteran or a veterans organization, Lake Sumter counties, please give us a call. Lakefront TV can be seen all over Lake County and the villages and worldwide at lakefronttv.com.